Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Mindfully Aligned. I'm your host, Adante Benjamin, and if you're wondering why I sound so full of life, so full of zest, it's because your girl just finished her last day of classes for undergrad. Yes, I am free. Aside from the few finals I have to turn in, I am free as a bird, and I am absolutely geeked. I'm so happy. When you're hearing this, I finished my last day of classes on Thursday, and then later this week when you're listening to this, I will be graduating. The next few episodes are probably gonna revolve around themes similar to or around graduation, moving up, leveling up, changes and transitions, and all the stuff that comes with that. Fittingly so. But yeah, I was super excited yesterday. Me and my friends, Hallie and Allie, we all celebrated, and we got happy hour that turned into 3 hours, and we went to Barcade, and we just had an absolute ball, feeling carefree. The weather was perfect. Allie just finished her LSAT. It was just a great time. It's that end of the school year kind of feeling, and I figured today's episode was the perfect time to talk all about the power of friendship and also the shifts in friendship that happen with graduation or just lifestyle changes and how we can embrace them. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. So without a doubt, we all know friendships are super important. It's really important to have a tribe or people around your corner. Anybody who's successful has some kind of support system around them, whether it's family or friends, but it's really great if you could have both. And I also think of friends as your chosen family. So you really want to nurture these relationships and find the right people for you. So I want to get into how you can identify and have discernment when it comes to your friendships. So I view friendship as something very sacred and very special. I guess that's the Aquarius in me, I only open up if I feel like I can really trust you and feel secure with you. It's a really big deal when I do feel like I know you enough to bring you in to my heart. I know that not everyone can really meet that really high criteria of like a great solid friend, and this criteria I'm going to talk about in a second. But before I get into that, I want to establish kind of the way I see friendships. I think that it's okay to have a variety of friendship types. Not everyone can show up for you the way you want them to show up for you. Not everyone is capable. Not everyone is compatible with you in that way. And so instead of feeling upset, why isn't this person showing up for me? We can only change how we feel within and our own expectations. And so I have kind of in my mind different expectations based on the kind of friendship I have for someone. So people who are super close to me, part of my closest inner circle, those are the people I know I can go to about really personal things I'm scared to even admit to myself, the super emotionally vulnerable topics. And then people outside of that are still my friends, I don't expect them to have to hold my hand through everything, but I know I can go to them for certain things, or if I want to cheer up and hang out and have a good time, I know I can count on them for that. So sometimes before I get into all of the other criteria, there are certain friends that, maybe you're not as close with, but that's also not necessarily a bad thing. I think everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. I think that every friendship can have their strengths and weaknesses too. And, certain friends you can count on for certain things. And I think that just goes for everyone. So before we get into the rest of the episode, just take a second to think about how that can apply to your own life. What kind of friends maybe have you been expecting too much from? How do you think you can shift that friendship so that you can now show up better for each other or have more well-suited boundaries for each other? And those are just the friends. And now the rest of the episode is going to be about the good friends and the best friends, the people who you have really been through thick and thin with, or how you can tell if those people should really be in that category. So you can really tell if someone is a good friend, the kind of friend that will stick beside you for years and years to come, by a few things, and we really want to be on the lookout for these things, because then you know who is meant to be in that position versus who isn't, and then you're not stuck disappointing yourself by putting expectations onto friends who maybe are not fit for that role. Maybe they didn't even sign up for that. Maybe they're not compatible for that. They're not even in the place to be that person for you. So you want to look for the identifiable characteristics of what a great true friend is. So there are a bunch of pillars of this, and I'm going to go over a few. For one, there is emotional support. Great friends offer emotional support, and they're there for you through the good and the bad times. They're there for you when you are not your best or you're insecure and you really need picking up. A key indicator if someone is a true friend is how they respond to you when you're going through a tough time. Do they encourage you? Do they listen without judgment? Or do they take what you're going through and use it against you? They would listen actively and empathetically. They wouldn't make it about them. They would just wholeheartedly think about how they can pick you up, provide encouragement and reassurance, and they celebrate your successes without envy, and that's a key here. Someone who truly loves you as a friend sees your success as their success. They are just as happy to see you thrive as them. You don't need anyone who is jealous or envious of you in your circle, because that is just toxic, bad energy, and you don't need that blocking your blessings. If you're listening to this, you are somebody who has big dreams, big goals, and you are going to achieve amazing things in your future. And you don't need someone in your ear who is secretly jealous of you, talking to you, putting negative thoughts in your brain, or secretly looking at you succeed and they're kind of mad about it. You don't need that. So look out for how they respond to your good days and how they respond to your bad days. Trust is also super important. Do they keep your secrets? They don't gossip about you, the obvious stuff. Trust is the foundation for any strong friendship. If you can't trust your friends, it's hard to maintain a healthy relationship. It's kind of hard for it to go anywhere. Trust is really just the bare minimum. And so we all have to reflect from time to time if we can really trust our friends, or do we feel like certain things are going to be used against us, as I said, and can you rely on them when you need them? Because reliability is also a big part of trust. If you say, you're going to show up for me in this way, can I trust that? Have you let me down before? Have you tossed me to the side for something that's more convenient for you? These are all things we want to look out for. How they follow through on their commitments, if they're honest and transparent with you. I think this is a big one too. I personally, and I think this is a big part of self-growth for anyone, I always respect the hard, ugly truth than a pretty lie. I think true friends will always tell you the honest truth, even if it hurts to hear, because we all need the honest truth. We all need that, or we're never going to grow and we're never going to be our best selves. So real friends will tell you what's up and they're not going to BS you. And that goes into another pillar, which is mutual respect and understanding. How they respect your boundaries and personal space. Again, I mentioned this earlier, I'm an Aquarius, so sometimes I do need my personal space. And so a true friend understands that sometimes, I'm kind of in my own little world, but they know that's just me. They know me well enough to know that's just me. That's kind of the beauty of Adanze. That's my thing. And they understand that, and they understand when I am in my shell versus when I'm out my shell. They also respect you and your goals and your dreams. A true friend respects the sacrifices that you may have to make sometimes in pursuit of your goals and your dreams. In fact, if anything, they'll encourage it. If you have to maybe see people less, go out less because you're really trying to save up your money for something, or you're really trying to focus up and have a grind season, they are definitely not going to be mad at you for it. They're going to encourage it. You know what, girl, yeah, I'm proud of you. Do what you need to do. We'll see each other when we need to see each other. It's okay. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Your friend is not going to make you feel bad about that. Your friend should not make you feel insecure for prioritizing your goals. They should want that for you. They also value your own opinions and perspectives, and they never belittle or judge you. You definitely want to pay attention to whether your friends respect your opinions, even when they differ from their own, and just how they're encouraging you to pursue your interests, passions, and dreams. And next, balance. Super important. This is the one I think we feel the most. If you have ever just been in a friendship where you feel like you're giving and giving, whether it's just giving your time or your effort or your emotional support, maybe you are always there for them, but they are never there for you. That's really an issue with balance and reciprocity. A healthy friendship is balanced and reciprocal. It shouldn't feel one-sided, so you want to reflect on whether the friendship is mutually beneficial. And beneficial not like in a superficial way. I mean beneficial as in, are you both encouraging each other to be happy? And are you both equally invested? There is some kind of nuance to this because sometimes we are in seasons where we can't show up the same. And I think friends do understand that about each other. So I just think back to a time last year where I was really going through some tough stuff in life. And that was, I think, the hardest period ever. That's when you enter survival mode and you have to really focus on the bare minimum things that you have to focus on. And you don't have the mental capacity to show up for people at that time. And that's okay, and your friends understand that. There are seasons where if your friend's going through a hard time, they can't be there for you as much or they can't check up on you as much, and that's okay. I'm just talking about like the friendship in general. Is that balanced? Is it usually balanced? Because sometimes we can't give 50-50. Sometimes our friend is only at 20% even for themselves. So then you know that and you show up 80% for them. And then when you're at 20 or 30, they can show up as 80 or 70 for you. That's the balance. So you want to keep an eye on that. And of course, this is an ever-changing time for us. So true friends really encourage your personal growth and improvement. It's nice to have friends you can just be silly with and have a good time, but a true friend is a true friend when you can talk about the serious stuff, the fears about your future, your hopes and dreams. They can provide feedback, be honest with you, cheer you on, help you prepare for that interview, all those things. That's really a true friend. They want to see you thrive. They want to see you level up because it would just fill them with absolute joy. That's a true friend. I think that surface level friendships really can come a dime a dozen. So when you have somebody who consistently meets those qualities that I mentioned, above all, they just want the best for you, that's really a type of person you need to hold on to because they are few and far between, and it's super important to have people like that in your corner. As you move forward on this journey of achieving what you want to achieve and working towards your dreams, there may be bumps in the road, there may be setbacks, so it's crucial that you don't have secret haters or fake friends close to you. You need people who can pick you up and push you forward because there's going to come a time where you will need that. And it's just, I can't stress it enough how important it is to have quality over quantity. So yeah, that is why as we reach adulthood and we start going through real stuff in our lives, it's super important that we have real friendships to help us through those real times and real problems we might face. But another thing to mention, and this is a big part of today's episode, is how these friendships can shift as we evolve. The friends that we have today are people we knew when we were younger, maybe from college or in high school, but as you cross that threshold from college to full-fledged adulthood, there are a lot of changes that take place in your maturity levels, what your priorities are, what your goals for the future are. And so these fundamental shifts, they change you and they can also change your friendships. And so sometimes you can experience growing pains with that, but it's completely normal to experience that, And it's something I think about a lot because these friendships that we have at this time, that's the easiest it's going to be. We are all living in a college city together. We're all living in close proximity to one another. Our schedules are pretty similar. We are all doing very similar things, taking finals, securing jobs or settling into jobs. But after that, life kind of takes its own direction with each of us. Some people move home. I know I am. Some people move across the country. One of my best friends from childhood is across the country in LA right now. Shout out to you, Rachel. And you learn how to nurture a friendship outside of convenience. Because a lot of our friendships that we have during these years, we were able to nourish them and have them flourish when it was really convenient, when we all lived in close proximity and we had so many similarities to each other. We were already in the same circles, etc. But now, like, as life takes its own way with us, we are all just moving in separate directions, and you have to really find the common ground even as these shifts are occurring. So one thing I think about is, when I move back home and I'm not able to see my friends as much, how can I still nurture the friendship even though we're not going to be on the same schedule anymore? And it's totally okay. Like, don't be afraid to take a leap and move to where you need to move, or take that job where you need to take that job because you're scared of losing these relationships. It's an inevitable part of life that things shift, but that doesn't mean it's shifting in a bad way. Work schedules are going to keep us busier. Distance is going to keep us apart sometimes. But when you have a truly strong friendship, that stuff doesn't matter. And it's really important that we feel secure in our friendships as these changes happen. Me and my friend who lives in LA, that's still my homegirl. I can't wait to visit her when I get the chance. We often fly to see each other for our birthdays. That friendship hasn't changed no matter the distance, and that's because she's a true friend. Shout out to Rachel. And so that's one thing we have to comfort ourselves with. If we're feeling kind of nervous about missing our friends and how things are going to change when we see each other less, just know deep down that the people that matter, the people that were genuinely your friend, genuinely in your corner, those real friends are not going to leave. They are always going to be there with you. Those are the people that stay. And me and Chike talked about this in episode 7, how after graduation, all the fake social life stuff evaporates. It wasn't real before, and after college, it disappears. People who weren't really rooting for you or were only friends with you because it was convenient or you offered something that they wanted, those friendships don't last. And so you shouldn't be afraid to lose people who never really cared about you. Yikes, that sounds harsh, but quality over quantity is really important. Because again, when you are trying to secure that job, that's your dream job, when you are trying to achieve something and you are trying to have positive thoughts around you at all times, you need people in your corner who really just want the best for you. There's no more room anymore for those fake friendships. Now life's getting real, so we need to have discernment about our friendships and who we want to have in our corner. And so it's okay when people move away or people go their separate directions in life, because if that friendship wasn't meant for you, it will come out then. And that's something I think about, whether you believe in the power of the universe or solely in God. I think about that a lot. When I think about this next phase, I think about how God will always make sure that the people I need in my life are with me. And as things change, the adjustments will happen, but it will be just as it needs to be. And that's the kind of positive mentality you have to have with these kinds of changes, is not like, okay, I'm scared of losing my people. I'm scared to see who doesn't care about nurturing our friendship when it's no longer convenient. Instead, think, okay, now I'm going to see who is really in my corner. Now I'm going to see who are the friends that are going to stick with me for years to come. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because then you can really value the people who do stick around. Your relationships can still thrive from FaceTime calls and text messages, and that's okay. And this goes off of a conversation I had with my therapist the other day. Funny enough, we were talking about how these friendships shift into adult friendships and how a lot of adults don't see their best friends for months and months or maybe even years at a time. But when they meet up again, it's like there was never any time away. We're so used to everyone being near each other, everyone having compatible schedules, but that is not the fact of life. You know, some people move away, have kids, maybe you don't have kids, get married, maybe you're not married yet. We're going to be on different pages, but that doesn't change the fact that you can still be friends. And that's what I want us to become secure with. You know, if it feels like we're on different pages, that's okay, because I still want to hear about how your life is going, and I still want to cheer you on in what you're doing, even though we're on different paths and different pages. I will always root for you. And that really is what friendship is. It is uncomfortable, you know, and if you are upset about that, or if you do find that to have some kind of growing pains, that's okay and that's normal, but just find comfort and switch that into a positive thought of, you know, I'm excited to see my friend go about their path. And even though we may not see each other as much, I can't wait for when we can hang out and I get to hear all about what they're doing and they get to hear all about what I'm doing, because it's so different and we can really share what's up and catch up, and it's going to be great. They're following their path, I'm following mine. And it's normal. I think that once we get past the growing pains, we realize how you can really make a friendship work through these changes. So we can't expect our friendships to look and feel the same as life changes. You know, we're not living on the same street, we're not having the same schedule, we're not doing the same things, but that just means that we can find new things to bond over. Instead of trying to cling on during these changes to something that is old, allow it to blossom into something new, allow it to evolve alongside the both of you. When your friendship really got started, you maybe were talking about different things than you guys would be interested in talking about today. You just have to find that new groove with each other and allow your friendship to evolve the same way you are. We can't put expectations on our friendships to feel the same way that they did when we met originally, because we were different people then. And now, more than ever, we're changing rapidly. We're growing. We're figuring out how we want the rest of our life to look like. And so there are now new things to talk about, new experiences to share. And instead of expecting the friendship to be like how it was, you know, why can't we do that together again? Why can't we spend this amount of time together? Let it change, let it evolve, and find a new groove with one another. Maybe the hangout schedule you once had has to be adjusted. Maybe the things you have in common now are adjusted and there's something new that you guys have in common and can talk about. It's okay for it to change, and I think that a lot of us can get anxious or feel weird when we feel these changes, but you're not crazy. They don't hate you. It's just part of life. It's just called evolving. And when we have these friendships that we know matter, the people who met the criteria in the first half of the episode, those are people you want to evolve alongside. Let's find out what they're doing in life. Let's talk about that together. Let's find out where our new common ground is. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot. You know, again, we can all be on different pages, but it's about letting your expectations adjust and letting that friendship adjust as you both grow. I think that's really cool, because that's truly the secret to longevity in a friendship. And I'm really glad that I was able to talk to my therapist about this, because it's hard as a young person to have that kind of foresight, because we're all in the thick of it. So hearing someone older talk about, you know, how they've had their friendships last through years, and it's in a healthy way, from a healthy perspective, it's super good to know, you know? And I know that the people who met the criteria in the first half of the episode are people you want to hold on to for as long as you can. They make life so much better, and it's super important to have people in your corner who make you feel like you matter, even when you may feel like you don't. Make you feel like you are smart and powerful and strong, even when you feel like you don't. And so we want to find ways to adapt so that we can keep these friendships going and flourishing for the years to come. I feel like that's a really sweet note to end the episode on. Again, I know that there are a lot of growing pains that come with the changing times of life. The purpose of this episode is to remind you to find the ones who are really your true friends and hold on to them. Through all the storms and changes of life, hold on to them. Find ways that work and keep that going and be a light in each other's lives. I think that's super important. So, yeah, before we close out the episode, I want to get into the song of the week. This song has been playing in my head on loop this whole time I've been talking, but it's Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish. I feel like it's viral. You've heard it. I don't even have to explain it. You've heard it everywhere. It's absolutely beautiful. I was really listening to it today, and I was like, oh my God, why did she make this song? How dare she make a song so beautiful? The lyrics, everything. Why? How could you do this to me? So it's just a beautiful song. And it reminds me of how friendship is supposed to feel, how beautiful it really is when that friend is really someone who should be in your life. And so it's just something to think about this week and beyond as we go through any transitional phase, is the value of our friendships and how to nurture them through all these life changes that we have ahead. Yeah, that concludes today's episode. Thank you all so much for listening. In the spirit of today's episode, feel free to share this with a friend or an episode that you think would resonate with a friend. Share it with them. Share the love. Maybe you guys can have this podcast as something you listen to together. I don't know. But thank you guys again for tuning in to episode 11. Be sure to share this episode. Be sure to follow the Mindfully Aligned Instagram. We are live. Yes, subscribe, leave an awesome rating on the episode, and be sure to tune in next week. Thank you.